All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live, but we're not actually having a show tonight. Dave and I are trying to work out some of the snafus that we had last night. And
Brian, get your hand off my knee.
we already have 3 guests. We'll have more guests for this bullshit
That's fine.
than we
Just
would on the
avoid.
regular show. But no, frankly speaking, everybody, Dave and I, for the last hour, have been online working through Facebook, trying to work with resolution of the camera, and all kinds of shit has broken loose. We've been trying to figure out the problem from last night. My upload speed's really good. My download speed's good. His download's not great, but his upload's good. Long story short, we can't figure this thing out. I've been calling Ecamm. It's been a tough day. So if you want to stay here, you never know what will be said, especially since it's late. You never know what David Price will say. But
Mr. Mr. Carter.
this is not a show. So if you're here, you're welcome to say whatever you want, but we're not really commenting. We'll be testing with videos, and we want to see if...
But, ladies and gentlemen, Brian May disrobe and do his world famous Watusi dance from the early 60s. You never know.
He always talks about Brian
never
May
know.
because he likes Queen a lot, and he always brings up Brian May. But we're working on latency, folks. When you watch the videos, we've had a few problems with Dave being blurry. Not so bad tonight, but it really was about an hour ago. And then when Dave watches my picture and he watches his own picture through this program, we do latency checks. So, for example, we'll do a clap. If the latency's good, the sound should be more or less when my hands meet. But when Dave sees it, it's out of sync. And so we're trying to figure this all out.
Now, Brian, okay, here's what I want you to do. Kill my camera, kill your feedback to me.
Yes.
Right? So I'm just seeing you, and now I'm talking to you.
Correct.
Now try that. Just talk to me.
All right. It was in 1918 that the war in Europe ended.
All right. Now, I'm talking to you. Do you have us both on screen?
No. I can put us both on the screen.
Well, in other words, I'm going out to people and you're going out to
Absolutely.
people, right?
Well, right now it is, yeah. I mean, I can do it a different way. Here, I'll make it larger for you.
No, I don't want it larger.
All right.
Here's what I want to do. I now have myself on my camera alone. And if I can block this, hold on, I can do that. All right, now, am I good on your end?
Yes, you're clearer now than you were last night.
Here's what I'm doing, Brian, just to let you know. So you know how that you have the thumbnail up top, that's the small picture within a picture, right? So that's my camera. What I'm watching now is my camera.
Right. It's your camera out of Skype.
Correct. And I can follow myself.
Yes.
I follow you.
Yes.
What I did was I enlarged my Skype camera, and have covered up the Ecamm.
Right. The Ecamm virtual cam.
That'll work for me as long as it works on your end.
Right. The only thing would be is you won't be able to see, like, for example, if I show a Bill Barr video, like I said.
But really, Brian, I don't need to see it. I just need to hear it.
You just need to hear it. Right. I mean, it would be nice if it worked perfectly.
Let me say this. Is anybody still listening or no?
I don't know. If you're out there, I'll put up the comment bar in case.
I just wanted to know. I was gonna say,
it's weird. Sometimes people start jumping in out of nowhere. I don't know if anybody's on right now. Oh, Jesus Christ. We got a show. Sandy's on. She said snazzy.
We're just testing.
Keith Boyd is probably waking up in Australia.
Hey, Keith.
By the way, he's still looking for his $2,000.
No, I've given up on that. I'm just so in Australia. Keith, can you sneak me and Judy in somehow? I mean, I know you've got the band. I think it's great. Australia's doing from listening to Michael and Shannon and the kids, they love it. But I want to get over there too.
Well, you better you better do him a favor and get one of his kids or grandchildren or relatives, a free ride at, was it Canberra University or something like that?
Yeah, that's where Michael is. No, he's at the University of Australia right now.
Yeah. So Sandy says we're talking about fuck-ups tonight.
You haven't seen. Yeah, we'll just leave it. We'll just leave it at that. And it's funny. I've been working. Both Brian and I, as I'm just talking to people out there, we're both musicians, and I've been trying to work out some way to play live with musicians, and there's nothing out there yet that can do that. So
well, we ought to play together some night, Dave. Just
yeah, but
jam.
no, but you know what? Well, you know what? I'm wondering about.
We could do that. We could do it on this channel.
Now, let me ask you something, okay? I mean, we wouldn't be. Yeah,
it would be. I think it'd be okay. Look, it's the same thing if we're talking. It's just you're using your keyboard and I'm using the guitar.
Yeah, but you were always so damn loud, Brian.
Right. Well, you're always so damn loud.
No, I got a little tiny amp now, man.
Okay. Well, you can change that. Just ask Judy to let you buy a new one.
I'm sure that's going to happen.
See, we're not the only one having trouble. Sandy uses Ecamm.
No, Sandy. I mean, again, it's not even a case of misery loves company. But I will say this. I told Brian this the other night. For my book series, first one's out. Shameless self-promotion now. But it's a tough life. I have to take a lot of rock and roll cruises, which of course makes Paul very angry because he thinks that nobody in the world should cruise, and I understand that. But what do I care about the goddamn environment, right? No. But anyway, and they're the cruise line, not the cruise line, but the concerts are put on by a division of Time Life called Star Vista. Now, they have access to everything in the world, right, technology-wise, and they were doing what you do, Sandy, or Brian and I do the other day, and it was the two vice presidents, Jason, who's the head host of all the cruises, and Jerry Blavat, a DJ. Also, they just had problem after problem after problem. It's just hilarious, and they've got professionals out the yin working it. So. I never worry about that.
By the way, Dave, I thought this would be kind of funny. By the way, Gary said something. I'm going to get to this later.
Gary's on too?
Gary Peacock's your biggest fan. Or
no, is Gary on now?
Yes, he's on now. He said to you that Trump is on to you, Arnold. Is there some kind of secret message to that, Dave?
No. I never know what Gary's like so cool. He really is.
Well, I have to show you. I, of course, do my parodies. And I did it for fun today, Dave. And
let me see. Yeah,
well, not only that, I want to show it because I want to show you the negative. And you talk about you love when people say "fuck you" to you and all that kind of shit. You like getting people angry. Well, I'm going to show everybody my. I threw a 20-second video up on Reality Report, so I'll show you the video. That and again, I've got 11 dislikes already, which I'm actually really happy with. People don't realize
on the video.
You need to get those because it helps your channel out.
Yeah, and if you're doing a parody
right.
or you're doing,
let's see if I can make this.
Whoa, Brian, stop that shit right now. You're talking badly about the president of the United States. Stop it.
And I love doing that shit because originally he was a character who liked Trump when I first started playing around with face filters. And he's actually like a Croatian government official. I mean, his face filter. People don't realize that. No. So I made it look like he's some Italian guy from New York or from Philly. Actually, my wife, warned me, says, you make it as though he's from South Philly, but he doesn't sound like he's from South Philly. He sounds like he's from like the Bronx. So I got it wrong.
Yeah,
because it'd be when he talking like this shit if he was from Philadelphia, beautiful. But New York is like, it's not what that kind of thing. Idea. Anyway,
that's Ronnie. That's Ronnie's influence. That's her New York
right.
influence.
Well, she catches when I'm doing the mistake, but I don't even care because it just works. So when I get really pissed, I use that face filter, and I think they're kind of helpful. But anyway, my point was, Dave, is that I loved it because I had 11 thumbs down in like 2 hours, and already had 80 some views to it, or more.
I mean, I go back to the print, and the print was, when you were a print reporter, Uh, just get the letters coming, favorable, unfavorable,
Right.
that kind of, and I don't know. The problem is, like, again, I spent my normal day I always take a period of the day and go on, wacko right wing websites, or I take somebody on. He's a friend of mine, so I took somebody on today, and it was like, it's a mirror image. It really is, Brian, of what I would say to is exactly what she's saying to me in this bizarro world, right? So she's attacking the media, and she's using redstate.org, which is a right wing media site, to do it. I'm saying, no, you're saying the media you're giving an example of a bad media, and of course then I started, then they started, well, CNN is pretty close to center.
Yes.
But what people know is, and it's getting worse. Ever began, whether you're reading a novel, you're seeing a play, you're watching a news broadcast, you're going to a film, it doesn't matter. You bring yourself to it. Everybody brings themselves. And now when it comes to politics, it's not that you're shutting off, and it's not even that you're not just not believing, you're bringing yourself to it. And if it doesn't agree with your worldview, you just say no. And another one of my friends, he posted something just atrociously wrong, but it's something he believes, and I've been guilty of that. A couple of times I've been caught. I have a couple of friends down here who are old journalists, and man, they'll jump all over me. And I don't care, because it's propaganda. I mean, I don't say it's true. I put it out a couple of times. I mean, it sounds, that you've seen those where it sounds like something Trump would say.
Right. But
you got to check it out, because I mean, there's no telling.
Well, it's funny. I hate when this kind of like turns into a show, because we're actually trying to check bandwidth tonight. But I want to put on a video, but it's worth putting on the video, not because we want to figure out the bandwidth thing. But you're familiar with this guy, Louis Gohmert. He's a congressman from.
Oh,
I
watched
bald asshole from Texas.
Yeah.
This guy's the biggest asshole. And I heard the greatest comment, because you'll see it. Someone starts banging, and he says, "Can the sergeant at arms take Gene Krupa away?" or something like.
You know what's the problem with the person who said that?
What's that?
They were obviously old, because
right.
Gene Krupa,
that goes way. But I mean, he was still a great drummer, and.
No. If it was somebody from the 70s, would somebody please take Ginger Baker? Or
right. Yeah, that would have been. But anyway, I got it. I got it. So let's check this out, because it's just too fucking funny, and he's such an asshole. He's really I guess I can curse tonight, because this is just a practice, folks. Right? I mean, that's the way it works.
Well, the other thing is, I got a couple of messages last night. The show's not a show until I say "fuck you, Trump." So.
Right. Well, this is not a show, so if you don't like cursing, folks, I'm sorry. This is just Dave and I practicing. This is just complete bullshit. But you know what? It is what it is.
And Brian, complete. How's that different than a show? We just do complete bullshit. No,
show. I planned for 8 minutes before the show. All right, so let's watch this. More than all right. This guy's great here. Just listen, it's coming. It's fucking incredible. All right. I mean, it goes on, but you know,
See, Brian, we're laughing at that. That is fucking
it's
pathetic.
terrible.
Okay.
That's something out of high
And what?
school, when the asshole in
Well,
the
that's
class keeps
yeah.
tapping.
It's funny. It's funny you should say high school. I was sitting there, and like so many people, if anybody's listening, I'm talking to them whether they're or not. We all wear so many hats, literally and figuratively, right? Well, one I wore the longest, it's not, was as in education, 34 years, as I say. And I was just thinking of if that happened in my classroom, right?
Oh, that'd be something.
Well,
'Cause I know you.
I would never, there would be, when I say held up, I don't mean I would I would just, there would be something that would happen. I mean, I can't even imagine it. I wouldn't tolerate it. I wouldn't expect. Now, what happens is that shows why government is completely fucked up. And why I say that is, do you really think the Democrats would do that? And I don't think, what they do usually, they walk out, or something. They make, they could do dumb things too. But I mean, that's just so blatant. And that Gomer guy there will be the first person. Oh, there's no civility. Well, no, there isn't, because you're sitting there banging on a pencil. Now, that's one part. The other part is I do not do click pens, right? I just don't, because I have a tendency to do that. And people have said that, like I'm doing an interview with somebody and they're going, could you stop that? I mean, I'm not interrupting them. So, but that wasn't it. That was deliberate attempt. Now, you could make the quick argument. The rules are rules.
Well, oh, fuck. My buddy, I forgot to put the audio onto the video. Only you heard it. Oh, shit.
Oh, that's okay. It was worth it, kids. You can find it. It's out there.
Oh, fuck. I'm sorry, everybody. That's why there's so much going on here. And Dave has always told me, like, you're doing 18 people's work. But that's no excuse. Just
playing basically what it showed. And, I mean, I'm sure if Donald, if you're listening, if you're done your cheeseburger, your Diet Coke, you could find a Democrat doing that too. I mean, but it's just, that's so, like you said, Brian, it's just so disrespectful. Now, the other side is he was trying to finish. The speaker wasn't rattled, right?
Who, Nadler? But he was weak. He could have done something, No.
Look, Brian. The problem.
I'll put it on later for you folks. I promise.
Yeah. No. The problem becomes, Brian, which is really interesting, is, this is my standard speech, kids. Here it comes. As I always say now. To me, politics is dirty, mean, and nasty. All right. It just is. It's been that way since the beginning. It'll be that way at the end of time. But here's, I want our money back. Yeah.
No, I feel like putting it on now.
Now you get what you pay for. I'll get off in a minute. You can,
okay.
Brian. But they're just coming. I mean, what's so fascinating about that is, as I say, that's just so, that just shows you the Republicans, and it could be the Democrats some other day.
Right, but not like that. I mean,
I'm just, let's leave it.
Okay.
We can't say to that, whatever. But what that just says is that's why government doesn't work. Gomer there needs to shut up and listen.
He's an asshole.
And if you break the rule, I mean, now if the guy went on for 35 minutes, I would expect Nadler to do something. If it were,
well, he could have called the sergeant at arms. He really could have.
Not against Gomer. I'm saying against the guy. Look, that's why time limits and important issues are bullshit. Time limits, are things so that.
Yeah, so that you can frustrate people from voting. If you don't get there by 6 o'clock, you're fucked.
How many times? I mean, I used to go to school board meetings all the time. Adversary of boards and that kind of thing, and it just would frustrate me. Not that I need to talk, but a parent comes up there, right, with some kind of, really heartrending story, and they give them 3 minutes. Well, you can't do that, Now, if I come up there and I could go up there and I used to filibuster and stuff, that's different, But yeah, that was bad government. This time demonstrated by a Republican who is a bad legislator.
Right. Well, Nadler's just too nice to them. Let's put that on again, Dave.
You know what? Here's the thing. Here's what's good. And I'll shut up in just a minute. But here's the good thing about Nadler. Donald Trump hated him coming in. He's going to hate him even more going out. So Nadler serves his purpose.
Okay, let's watch this again. This time I'm going to make sure that I have it right. So, Dave, I'm going to mute you, and I'm going to mute myself. So...
I gave me.
Yeah, well, this time it's got to work.
Rule 1-7.400, which bars public comment on criminal investigations before charges are filed. Here, though, the wrong is much worse, as Barr is using a criminal investigation to produce fodder for the president's campaign propaganda mill, which can have its effect even though it is false. This conduct in particular gives cause for great concern about what Barr may do next. Just another 30 seconds. In closing, it needs to be said that Bill Barr does regularly lie in ways that impact official action. Along with his continuing media project to make Americans believe that the FBI conspired against Donald Trump, his statements about the Mueller report, Jeffrey Berman's supposed resignation, and Barr's own role in the events in Lafayette Park come quickly to mind. So does his practice of regularly shrouding himself in the rhetoric and trappings of the rule of law, even as he desecrates and undermines the institutions that make it possible. But to me, Barr's crowning dishonesty is the portrait of Edward Levy that a recent New York Times article showed hanging on the wall of his conference room, as though the current incumbent has
Regular order, the witness will conclude.
Regular order is right.
We're way beyond regular order.
The witness will continue.
Can I have one more sentence, Your Honor?
By all means.
Okay. But to me, Barr's crowning dishonesty is the portrait of Edward Levy that a
Mr.
recent
Chairman, I would
New York
ask
Times
that the sergeant at arms
The witness
be
will
called
conclude.
upon to stop the disruption of this meeting. I can't hear this witness. This is a very important witness.
Yeah, well, he's way beyond
And the
his
chair
time.
has
And if
the
there are no
authority-
rules about when
chair
people
has the
can
authority,
talk,
does
there's
he
no
not?
rules about when you can make noise.
The gentleman makes a
Doesn't
good
the chair-
point, and the chair will enforce the 5-minute rule. Witness will proceed. will
Chair is
continue.
not enforcing the
Will con-
5-minute
The
rule.
witness will conclude.
Mr. Chairman, this is outrageous. Do you have no respect for the rules whatsoever?
The witness will conclude.
He's 2 minutes beyond concluding, and you don't let us have that kind of time. You gavel down immediately. You're being grossly unfair. This man had a
witness will
written
conclude.
statement, and he knew to cut it to 5 minutes. He couldn't do it. Either we have rules or we don't.
The gentleman will suspend. The witness will conclude.
Thank you.
Well, then
In
we can keep
closing, it
making
needs to be
noise.
said that Bill Barr does regularly lie in ways that impact official action.
Mr. Chairman, there's not order in the room. There's a banging.
No,
That's
there's certainly not.
disrespectful.
Mr. Chairman, would you have Gene Krupa removed?
The witness will conclude.
That's what you said a while ago, and he didn't conclude.
The gentleman will suspend. The witness will conclude.
So I guess the last thing I want to sum up with, I've said all the rest of this, but the last point I'd like to make is that I think his crowning dishonesty in the face of what he is doing to the Justice Department is the picture that I saw in the New York Times a few weeks ago, a portrait of Edward Levy on the wall of his conference room, as though the current incumbent has anything but disdain for the beliefs and achievements of his predecessor. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have a parliamentary inquiry.
Gentleman will state his parliamentary inquiry.
Is it not appropriate for the chair to exercise discretion in extending the 5-minute rule as the chair sees fit?
It certainly is appropriate.
And is it authorized under the rules of this committee?
It certainly is authorized under the rules of this committee.
Well, then, cannot the chair call in the sergeant at arms to maintain order when a member of this panel?
Here, pull his ass out.
We'll move on to the next.
Right, Dave?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Elias.
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Elias.
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Elias.
Parliamentary point of order, Mr. Chairman.
There is no point of order.
How do you know I've not said one? Here we go
The
again.
gentleman is completely out of order, Mr.
The
Chairman.
gentleman will state his point of order.
Point of order is according to the House rules, a House chairman cannot capriciously determine the 5-minute rule at the whim of what he wants. It has to be fairly and impartially applied. That is the spirit of the House rules, and that is not what has happened.
Apply it fairly?
We are applying the 5-minute rule as provided by the House rules.
All right, Dave, hold on.
Got just a couple comments.
Hold on, Dave, you're not on yet.
Got
There you
just a
go.
couple
Now you're on.
comments. I don't see you, Brian, but
You
that's
will
good.
now.
No, I see. Now, what's interesting is, what's interesting is, I think, Could you imagine? Could you imagine out there, peoples? Okay. You show that to, let's say, civics used to be in 9th grade. That's when I got it. That's when Gary got it. He's still there. You show that to a 9th grader and they're going to want to go to another country. Come on, grow up. That's, and that's where that should be. Now I'm going to attack the media tonight too. Right? They printed that, and I want to see a story. Man, I would just go after him and just say, and ask that question. Weren't you weren't you acting like a 7 or 8 or 9-year-old boy? And do you really think that's how a congressman should act? And then let him respond.
Right. Well, I think the congressman is right by actually challenging Nadler by saying, why aren't you getting the sergeant at arms and get him to just pull his? He's being too nice.
Oh no. I'm okay. We're looking at two different things. I'm talking about how to handle Gomer. That's what I call him,
Gomert. Yeah, but Gomer because he's like Gomer Pyle. Yeah, I get it.
Now, I think what was interesting. Yes, Facebook user. That's exactly what you saw. You saw a white racist, and it's pretty much established that Gomer is, decide that judge and jury, whether he decides that Donald Trump couldn't appoint anyone bad or Bill Barr is the best person to be Attorney General.
That was Keith.
Or whether, whatever. He's made a decision, I'm not going to listen to this witness. Now, if you listen to the witness and you've read what he said, it's a pretty serious charge, okay? Basically, I got a new T-shirt coming, kids. I can't wait to get it. I just found it the other day. It says, it's like Watergate, but with morons. And that's exactly what we have right now. It's worse than Watergate, but it's like, Gomer there's made up his mind. Now, that's fine, okay? That's fine. That is fine. But here's the thing. He was disrupting others. And I'm going to charge every goddamn Republican that I run across. They're fine when they're spouting off. They're fine when they're doing their thing, right?
Right. Like Jim Jordan.
You've made up your
Matt
mind.
Gaetz.
That's fine. Who the hell are you showboating for? Or are you really that goddamn rude? Now, there is a point to be rude. That was not the point. Okay? Let the guy speak. You know how you're going to vote. Who was he playing? What audience was he playing to? Who was he playing to?
His own audience. I mean, obviously, his constituents, the Trumpers.
Yeah. So, well,
he didn't. First of all, they didn't want anything said when he started nailing Barr, saying,
that's what we're saying. I mean, you talk about censorship. Well, now the good thing is, I mean, let's also be honest on the other side. Every congressman got that written statement, right? So it's not. I got that. Civil disobedience is not legal. It is illegal. It's not. I don't know. No, that's funny. The difference is, look, everybody can disagree with me. I love when they do. I am going to continue, as I've always done, to hold political figures, no matter what party, to a higher standard than I do other people. Nobody forces them to run, correct, Brian?
No.
And what they say, they put their hand on a Bible or whatever they put their hand on and say, basically it's a long, but they say, I'm going to take care of the people. Yeah, Australians, I agree. Keith, you're doing nothing to keep me out of your country.
By the way, he said he always has a bed there for you guys. So
listen, man, I'm so serious. Now, interesting enough, Keith, here's the problem though. Not only aren't you letting us in, and New Zealand, you guys are going to do, which I think is extremely intelligent. You two have done great jobs, Australia and New Zealand, where we've done, maybe Russia and Brazil are behind us. Maybe. We might even be the worst in the world, exceptional America. But now the Europeans aren't going to let me in. What the hell? What if I got to go? What if I want to go to, what if I want to go to back to the red light district in Amsterdam? I can't even get in.
But isn't that great, though? Because that's going to get Trump pissed off because that involves a lot of trade and all that kind of stuff.
You know what's so interesting about it? His fans, his cult, they don't care. They are so out of it.
They have they don't have any understanding of how economics work. Like the tariffs, we'll put tariffs on China, and meanwhile, it's costing us.
Well, wait a minute. Say it the way the president says it.
China.
China.
He says China. He's like from New York.
Well, it's a weird way.
China. China. He
think
sa's
he's
Russia
thinking
too.
of- I think he's
Sometimes he
thinking
says
of
China, but he says China. But a few times he said Russia and China.
No, he's just. I mean, God. Now, if he has dementia and it's proven someday, you know what? I'm not going to feel a bit bad. I believe this. I wouldn't have the ego to run president, but if I knew that I had dementia, I would remove myself. I mean, that's you're what? You're running the country. Come on. But of course, Trump can't do that. Trump can't.
Well, that benefits the Republicans anyway. I mean, if you look at the intelligence of somebody who has dementia, who had a college degree, and put it up against his constituents who probably don't even have a college degree or even a high school degree. I mean,
here's one I was researching today, just for something I'm writing. And I actually posted something on our blog, not that I wrote, but someone else wrote. Howard Stern, Howard Stern and Donald Trump are compatriots in New York. And Howard Stern is an interesting character to me. I want to like him, and I do. And then he does just something Howard Sternish, right? And my biggest problem with Howard Stern is that everybody else tries to be Howard Stern. And there's only one Howard Stern. He's very good at what he does. And so now they've had a real falling out. And he's telling, and I really liked what he told his audience today, because his audience would be a lot of Trumpers, right? I mean, that age group, they're not, and he just said, you don't understand. That man hates you more than he hates anybody else. And he does his own followers. He knows. You're going to tell me he'd go have a beer with them? Come on.
Right.
Get real. He wouldn't do that. But they say, oh, good, good. So
Gary Peacock just said that I did my primary, Moose Girl. He voted for Bernie, which is weird because I always vote for Bernie, but today as much as I would have voted for Bernie, I mailed in and I voted for Biden because I just feel that there's no way to look back now. I'm giving the support now.
And again, everybody who's out there who's a non-Joe Biden supporter, you have every right to be. But just remember, the alternative is Donald Trump. That's all I'm going to say. Was Joe Biden my choice? No. I tell everybody this because I think you have to be open and upfront about it, right? In 2016, my choice. 2016. 2016, my choice was Bernie Sanders. And for 2020, it was Elizabeth Warren. And the reason I chose Elizabeth over Bernie this time, there were basically two reasons. One is that I think she's as close to Bernie without being Bernie as you could be, right? And then the other thing is I think Bernie is found his niche, and I think he's so valuable to lead a movement. He's going to lead a movement. And right now, I'm going to make a prediction. Remember, I'm on a roll now, so I'm risking this roll. I've been right about 4 times in a row, which is unusual. That platform, now again, I know it's just a platform, you got to follow through. That platform is going to reflect a lot of Bernie, Elizabeth Warren. There'll even be a couple AOC things in there. We still don't know who won all these primaries last night, but man, in New York City, the left wing did very, very well. I mean, the left wing of the Democratic Party. And the country is tired. They're tired of Trump. They're tired of Gomer there banging. The people that, and again, Brian, we even know when I have a show, I always got to do this too. The country's a third, and a third. We're not going to change the Trumpers. They're not going to change us. So the question is, how many of that third can we gather? How many can they gather? And can we gather enough to offset Russia, China, GOP's voter? And I didn't get a chance today, Brian. I don't know if anybody else out there following the Kentucky thing. How did that work? Not who won, but how are the? Hey, Anthony. Are those guys? Did everybody get to vote? I know there was a shot I saw last night.
Toward the end, there was a problem at one precinct where they were banging on the glass doors, and they had to get a court order to allow those who were in line to vote, and the question was, when were you in line, and where does that line cut off? It's going to be all hell to pay in the future, though.
And I want to address. Do we know who this person is? They're
Moose Gal? I don't know who Moose Gal is, actually.
Yeah, Moose Gal. Hey, listen, I understand exactly what you're saying. That's not patronizing you. It's not. It's not. You will vote your convictions. You will do that. And you have a right. Every American has the right to vote for whomever they want, except nobody should vote for Donald Trump. But no, the idea of it is, it's a question. You have to say, you don't have to vote for somebody because they're going to win. I was very fortunate. He's not the only person to hear it, but twice I've heard Ralph Nader confronted and saying, you cost the election, right? You gave us, George Bush. Hey, Christina from Illinois, welcome. The thing is, and I'm not trying to convince you, I'm just saying, Ralph Nader said it best for all of us, and he just handled it so well. He just said, everybody has the right to run for president, that's eligible. The day you don't have that, we're no longer America. And then everyone has the right to vote for whoever's running or write in whomever they want. The day we don't have that is the day we don't have America. Now, if I were not arguing with you, if I were to try to persuade you, I think the most important thing Americans can do right now is stop Donald Trump from having a second term. Okay? Now, that's me. And so what does that mean? It means I'm going to vote for Joe Biden. And I'm not going to hold my nose. I mean, I could give you...
Well, why don't you at least discuss your... I don't want to say your theory, but the idea that it seems like Biden's already going to be moving to the left.
Well, here's what I think, okay? Joe Biden is not a liberal, okay? He is an old centrist. So now, but now we
keep going, Dave. I'm going to get a drink really quickly, okay?
No, yeah, sure. So what happens is, but today he's considered a liberal on the right, because if you're not a neo-Nazi, you're a liberal, the way they look at it. Or if you're not a Trumpite, or in favor of Donald Trump. But the good thing about him, when I don't identify myself as a Democrat, I identify myself as a liberal, which means 999 times out of 1,000, I vote for the Democrat because they're always usually the more liberal candidate. But having said that, if you look at the mood of the country today, you've got the Trump and Trump people and Trump supporters, and they are neo-Nazis and fascists and authoritarians and haters, and nobody's left. When George Will is the greatest conservative of my lifetime, thinker except for William F. Buckley, says, don't vote for Donald Trump. Don't tell me you're conservative. You're a Trumpite. When George Bush says, don't vote for Donald Trump. When Mitt Romney says, don't vote for Donald Trump. When Colin Powell says, don't vote for, the list can go on and on. So, but Biden's going to look, and the left is on the move. It's on the move in the streets. It's on the move yesterday in New York. Now, one show I promise we'll devote, and you won't like me so much then if you don't. Well, most people don't like me now. But, I mean, you have to be careful in terms of how far you go and how fast you go. There are people, and understandably so, young people mostly, but some older people too, who just said, this is so bad, we just got to tear it down. The whole government, tear it down. Well, the problem becomes, what do you put in its place? Triple Scotch neat. You could put
water.
That in. Please. No, they're for Brian now. So, Brian, it's interesting. My concern today, if we were doing a show and we're not, and pretty soon my wife's going to come in and hit me because I promised her I wouldn't do this tonight. But my concern today is when I say we, I'm going to put myself on the side of the good guys. I've always believed liberals are the good guys. I think you look at the word liberal, liberate, free. I think that's what it's all about. I don't want us to lose that position, and I don't want to be like one of those uppity people that quote people all the time. I mean, I try to just speak it, but your boy, Mr. Nietzsche there, Frederick, he just said, and I'm going to get this wrong, so somebody please correct me. I'm going to be real close. Be careful you stare into the abyss, because the abyss is staring back into you. And what it means is it's hard to fight evil, which Trump and the Republicans are, and not become evil yourself. And I think from some of the things I see, we're getting a little close to that. Some people, the demands, let's win what we can. I think the Confederate statues are done. We're going to continue to get rid of them. That's fine. Let's get Trump out of office. Whether we can get McConnell, everybody wants McConnell to lose. McConnell loses if he's not Senate Majority Leader, right? He doesn't mean anything if he's not. A difference between liberals and progressives.
Really good question.
I really like that. I could go on for hours. Let me try that.
Moose Gal, it's a good question.
Okay, let me try this. Wow. Okay. Let me try it this way. Progressive preceded liberals. And why do I say that? Liberals didn't come into vogue until the late 50s, 60s. But progressives came in the Teddy Roosevelt era. And, so you're looking early 20th century and on. Progressives, another word that's also, I think there is, again, as a writer, a bad writer, a horrible writer, and an English teacher. I was okay English teacher and a college professor. But the idea is, I think, in my mind, progressives are also often associated with populists. Like populists can also be people like Trump. But it's that kind of period of time. And liberals are more associated usually with urban causes. Now, that's not a definition, but that's kind of how I separate them. I often use both. I'll use populist, progressive, liberal, realistic, radical to describe myself. I think there are elements of all of that. And it's like anything else. The big reason today, and I'm debating this with someone, why I don't like the terms Republican and Democrat, they don't mean anything in the sense of Abraham Lincoln was a Republican, correct? Well, today he would be a Democrat, but Republicans argue, no, he'd be with us. The Democrats were the party of slavery. Yes, they're the Dixiecrats. I mean, they're the Southerners. That was Thomas Jefferson. I mean, that's where it came from. So, but the idea of progressives and non-progressives or liberals and conservatives, that makes more sense to me.
Right, and I think it also depends upon the party you're in or in the mindset you're in. If you're a conservative, it doesn't matter, liberal or progressive, they just see you all as communists. I mean, that's why it's so easy for the conservatives, because they always limit things to one sentence. The Democrats want to raise your taxes. The Democrats want to kill your babies. It's just one sentence. So a liberal or progressive, they're communists or they're socialists. And you heard that when, AOC says anything. She's a socialist, or Bernie's a socialist. We all knew that there was a difference between a Democrat socialist and a socialist.
A breath of fresh air. And you know what? She proved her staying power, right? She won.
Yeah, she won, and
against another.
Could have been tough there.
No,
because of Amazon. A lot of people were pissed off in that district.
Well, you know what though? I think, again, my opinion. I've never met her. I really do want to try to. When this thing gets over, we got to go up there just to, not to fawn over, but just to hear her speak somewhere. There'll be the big gold letters.
That's interesting. Dave, do you think that there's extra security around the Trump, or they had extra security around the Trump building in New York when that was all the protests?
Times. I mean, I can just verify that. Not like the overt that you'd see, right? I mean, they don't put armed guards there, but a lot of people, and again, me being me and them being them, they won't even set foot in the Trump Internet. I wanted to see it, just to see it, right? So I've been in there. I would not pay any money in there, and I always make sure I'm dressed down, so that I'm wearing an anti-Trump shirt or something.
We have a good comment here from Goddess Four Winds. She says, "Of course, there's a difference between." By the way, all of a sudden, this is the show. We're here trying to test bandwidth, and
that's fine.
Okay, of course,
I like that.
There's a difference between liberals and progressives, but they want the same things when it comes to moving forward. That's true. Defining justice, economic.
I get into that, like that freedom and forwardness that comes with being a liberal.
We really shouldn't get too caught up with names.
Well, I mean, I understand that, but the other thing is, I think too, Brian, is now I'm going to go back and just say I don't talk about parties. But in general, the Republicans, and you said it so well just a moment ago, they reduce everything to one sentence. To me, they're okay. I use this as a light switch example. Okay. For them, the light switch is either on or off, right?
Right.
Oh, all right. So what happens, I mean, at least in my way of thinking, is, if you're talking about black and white, and I don't mean black and white in terms of race, I'm talking about black and white, there are shades of gray as you move in the continuum. Correct, Brian?
Yes.
And even in a light switch, if you break it down, there's a moment when the light is not on and it's not off. And I think a lot of times that's where Democrats or liberals dwell. You were saying about Nadler not being so forceful. Well, it's easier if he was playing. But I think a lot of times, and that's why I also think that there's certain things we just know. We know any white, black, green, brown person who doesn't know this is wrong. Black Americans have struggled and suffered for 401 years. Okay, that's just truth. If you are white and you don't see white privilege, sorry, you are wrong. But I'll even go further. I mean, it's not who got the worst. If you want to play who got the worst, okay, Native Americans. If you want to play that game, I don't think it matters. It's like, and the other thing that I think, conservatives, Republicans, GOP, I'm lumping, whatever. Trump's an extreme. I mean, I don't even consider him in this discussion. They believe I've got mine and you get yours, but if you get yours, I'm going to lose some of mine. And that's not the way freedom works. That's not the way freedom works. Freedom is unlimited. And what we have to assure is everybody gets the share of freedom that they deserve. By
the way, I just showed my activity monitor, Dave. The whole group could see it. So if we go out for a second, it says my Skype helpers is just burying my CPU. It's not Skype, but Skype helper. So if we go off, people, offline for a second, don't worry. I'm just going to try to get rid of it.
Brian, is that true? I think there was some talk that your Skype helper worked in the porn industry. Is that true or that's not true?
I have no idea what you're talking about, fella.
Yeah.
Here we go. Hopefully we won't close out, but we'll be back. Oh, shit. You there, Dave? I don't know if I'm online or not, folks. Am I? I keep hearing pops. And if anybody's there, hello, am I still online? Yes or no? Am I live? Someone put a yes. Let me get Dave back on, if this is it. All right, this helper thing. All right, you're on, Dave. That didn't work.
Well, I do want to say something about that.
Okay.
If I may.
That shut down Skype.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brian and I go back and forth, and I give him all the credit in the world. You heard him earlier.
You have to test everything.
But you're doing a job of, if this were a real show and not this fake play thing we do, you would have 27 people. There really would. I mean, I've done, talk shows and news shows. Not a lot, but enough to know. There'd be 27 people doing what Brian did, and all Brian would have to do is get made up and be the host. But having said that, any technical problems, we're now seriously, Brian, you've proved you're on your end, not my end, and I want that clearly.
Well, that one was on my end, but I did see where the Skype is overloading with, it's overloading my CPU, and that's a problem.
Brian, there's a very easy solution to that tomorrow. Go buy a computer
$5,000 computer, right?
Oh, come on, don't go 25,000 without the gold plate. I mean,
There is, by the way, a Mac Pro, which, believe it or not, if you get one from a couple of years ago, it can't even do the Skype eCam thing. It's really weird. Even though it's really good, it just doesn't work with it.
Come on, look, we're not going to go about tech. We know enough about it. You know more than some ads. I know more than the other. It's people don't understand this. I don't mean people are listening, but always there's two things going on here. You have your computer and you have your internet connection, and one. Can that get done? I would like to see you, David, Brian, and Paul on your own digital channel on broadcast. You can get a computer under $2,500. Anthony, yes. Listen, we can have a crowdsource or a GoFundMe. Listen, guys, I mean, what I admire so much about Brian, and tonight's the night to reveal it. He is actually in the 1%, ladies and gentlemen, of America, and I'm talking about economics. The other day, the Washington Post published a story of the 10 richest Americans, and actually it was interesting. A Bezos was one, and a right?
What was that? Is that Stormy?
Yeah, right. No, yeah, Stormy's coming. That's right. No.
Oh, by the way, can you please say this to your viewers, Dave, because you told me this prior to Stormy Daniels. Your love of your life in high school and a little bit later was Joey Heatherton.
Absolutely, she's a beautiful woman. Now, I don't know if this is sexist, but I mean, I think I think you can be. Look, yeah. Come if you can be a sexist, come live my life. I mean, my wife's a feminist in a good way, not that there's a bad way. And she points out that thing. She also doesn't speak to me every time I just slip in the old ways, and I say a stewardess instead of a flight attendant. She hits me. So no, but I mean, there's it's some play, but yeah, I don't know if it was Joey Heatherton or if it was Assertive Sleeper or whatever the hell it was.
Oh yeah, that was it.
It was pretty interesting. I do want to do one thing seriously now, if anybody's listening. I had a call today, Brian. I haven't even told you about this. And I think more than anything that's happened to me recently, through the COVID, through the pandemic, through following politics, through my writing, this hit home in a day. It's a little long. I know, Gary, just nap and come back. Your attention span with this, but I think it's an important story, and I'll probably repeat it again Tuesday night. Anyway, about a week ago, my wife and I were walking. We live in Crystal City, which is not a 3 metro stops from Washington, D.C. And we walked by at the Hyatt Regency. There's 19 hotels here where we live because it's next to the airport. And there was a black couple sitting there, and the gentleman, younger than I am. Everybody is. I'm 68. He's probably in his 40s, like late 30s, very early 40s. And I assumed it was his wife, and indeed it was. But he had a Do the Right Thing shirt on, like from Spike Lee's movie, right? And I saw it, and it really resonated because the night before, this was Saturday, so it was last Saturday. Friday night, I watched The Five Bloods, and I recommend that for everyone to watch. Spike Lee, to me, is one of the great movie makers of our lifetime. And Do the Right Thing is, if I had to pick 10 movies, the 10 best movies I've seen in my lifetime, it's in there somewhere. Anyway, we got to talking. I found out that he's from Georgia, Rome, Georgia. His wife and I shared something in common. We're both recovering alcoholics and drug addicts. He had shared something in jail, prison term, wanted it back, but he wants to out. And he said, I got something, will you do it? And if you go to our blog, Brian, if anybody goes to our blog, you can see it. Marcus's piece is there. And we talked a little bit, kind of became friendly, and then they headed back. And what he did, which I also, it gets to the American story today. He and his wife got on a plane, which a lot of people won't do, flew to Washington, D.C. because he wanted to see with his own eyes. He wanted to spend 3 days here and see what was going on, at the White House with the protests. I mean, he knew about Atlanta, and he wanted to do that. And we talked, I don't know. And today I get this phone call, right, Brian? and it's Marcus. And he said, Dave, I don't know who else to call. I said, okay, what? He said, I just got pulled over by a cop or by a policeman. Marcus is black. Marcus is pretty big. He's soft-spoken. Obviously, he has this, criminal past. It was drug things. And that really hit home to me. I get pulled over by police periodically. I have in my life. I've never thought someone. And he just said, your number was there, and I just called you. Will you stay with me? I said, of course I will. Now, the story had a great ending.
Mm-hmm.
The policeman was indeed white. Marcus did indeed have a taillight out, so it was a legitimate stop. The officer said, I'm going to write this. It's a warning, and it gives you, I think it was 7 days. No, 7 days to get that fixed, right? And it had a great ending, but that really hit home to think that this man that I met, a week ago? He could, not that he called me, oh, wow, like I'm going to do anything, but I'm in Washington, D.C., and he just wanted somebody, I assume, who wasn't black, maybe, right? There. It's not the first time that's happened. It's a phone call. How a white American can sit there and say, well, that happens to me every day. Does it happen to you, Brian?
Not every day.
Has it ever happened to you?
I've had a problem with. Yes.
Yeah, but a problem,
Big. No, it was. I wasn't, roughed up, but I had a very bad experience.
I've had, of course, I had those all when I was a kid. But my point is, even with all that, I never thought that I was going to die at the hand of a policeman.
But the guy lied on me, and the judge, if it hadn't been for the cop's attorney.
Search.
Can I explain my story very quickly?
No, Brian, I'll tell it to people. You did have your pants down. You weren't deliberately exposing yourself.
No.
But you did have your pants down.
I have to explain this.
Your dingle was dangling.
Okay, my jangle was jingling, or whatever you want to. Well, listen, what happened was I was about 24, 25. I was exercising. I had to get to work. I was working in the summer at a liquor store in Camden, New Jersey. And I was about an hour from work in terms of time. I had a little bit of time. I wanted to go back and I wanted to shower. And a cop pulled me over. And I had never been pulled over by a cop. So I get out of the car, and automatically that was a problem. He started screaming at me with the megaphone, "Get back in that car." And then he came up to me and he accused me of manipulating my sticker. That year, New Jersey's state stickers, where it would say, 1982 or whatever it was, they started fading. So at the time, you could get your car inspected at a private station. They were allowed to use a black magic marker. And they had to do that for mine at Goodyear. Well, this guy was flipping out on me, this cop. He was accusing me of changing it. I said, sorry, I didn't do it. You will keep quiet. You fix that. And this is against the law. You can't even use your car now. And then some lady pulled up behind me who was Asian. And he said, what, do you have your mom here to help you out? Long story short, I was so upset, but I just got his number. Went to court 3 months later. He doesn't show up. Then I said to the judge, I have all the information necessary here. He says, you'll shut up or you're going to be out of order. And then luckily, the attorney for the cop says, I'll look at Mr. Weinstein's material. And he said, look, I want to drop the charges. Then I went to the police, who now took over in Camden, and I said, I explained my situation in writing. I think he was suspended for a day, but only a day. And I was completely innocent. And I was, again, this is not, anything like what happened, but it angered me so much because the judge didn't listen to me. The cop was a complete idiot. And then he was accusing me of things. So now I had a real bad problem with police because me, I don't like to be accused. Now, one other thing I want to quickly tell you. There was a girl when I was in college. I didn't even know her. I had it was like a volleyball class, one of these gym classes you take when you're in your freshman year. Well, apparently she had a boyfriend in that class, and he got rough with her. And his name was Chip. I didn't know him. So she accuses him of sexual assault. So they started pulling everybody in from the class who was a male. And I said to the guy, look, the detective, I don't know what she's talking about. Why don't you just line us up and have her pick the person who did it? And he says, well, no, she can't do it. She's kind of afraid. And I said, well, I can't keep coming to these meetings. I don't even know her. Now I'm getting mad at her. And everybody in my class who was a male talked to me, says, yeah, this is getting crazy because we're asked to come down to the police station and the college. Then I had my dorm was getting funny with me. There was this newspaper article about this person is suspect in rape, and then they would put in big posters, "Give yourself up, Weinstein." And then I was getting really mad. I told my parents, and my mother got a hold of John Glenn. She was so upset, and eventually they let me go. They want to talk to me again. So there were two things in my life that really got me upset because I was accused of something twice that I had nothing to do with. So I did not have a good relationship with the police. I'm not saying all police are bad, but I had such terrible experiences, Dave.
So I have three very quick questions. You don't have to expand on it. Number one, at any time during those two incidences, did you fear for your life? I mean, realistically.
I only felt that, it was like the Russian thing. I thought I was going to get pulled over and accused of a crime that I never committed, number one.
Did you fear that at any time you were going to die at that spot?
I'm going to answer honestly, no, but it was still not good though. I'm not trying to compare scars here. I'm saying,
Brian, what I'm saying, stop. You're always going on. Let me do my thing here. Okay. So, no, if you were black, do you think that could have turned out differently either time?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now, the next thing is, do you think those experiences make you understand more what those who have those experiences daily, or if not daily, weekly, monthly, you had two, I've had more.
Well, I'll tell you exactly. And this was hard for me because you know how much I hate Kavanaugh. When that thing with Kavanaugh came up, I kept thinking, well, I did go through that same thing, but with different.
It made you what Donald Trump is not. I would assume. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. It made you empathetic to a situation that others go through.
Yes, absolutely. Because I didn't trust the cops after that. Every time now that I see a cop car, I have a feeling like, shit, this could happen to me again, and I get it.
And number three, you've already answered. That does not mean all policemen are bad.
Right.
What it means is this, in my estimation. You've heard it said power is an aphrodisiac, and power is this, and power is that. The problem is that some people can handle power and some can't, right? And you've seen teachers. I've seen teachers do that. I've seen sanitation workers. It doesn't matter. And unfortunately, when you get an officer of the law who is sworn to uphold the law, and there's two parts to that, right? To kind of get the bad guys, but also is to help the non-bad guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really what it is. It really is both. And you see that. So unfortunately, they're what I call really searchlight, they're spotlight jobs. And law enforcement is one of those. Look, it's unfair. It's completely unfair for me to say this. Policemen cannot afford to make mistakes. They can't. Now, I know that they're human, right? But you got to minimize those mistakes. And you certainly can't be a law officer and stay on a person's neck for 8 minutes and 34 seconds or whatever that was, and kill them and not realize that not only is your career over,
right?
Not only are the three officers who were with you, their careers are over, except for Florida, which kind of says, bring down, they've already said, bring down any cop, we'll take them. But more than that, you have disgraced and actually put into danger, in a certain way, every policeman in America who is a policeman now and will follow you, right? I think you could hear in your voice, Brian, and I mean I do it too. I'm not picking on you. I was just playing back on there. You could hear in your voice your anger, and that's
Dave,
what you were done.
I'll give you. I have to add that it wasn't the end, but it was almost the end. My senior year, I took a psychology course, and who's in the class? I remember that name. She was sitting in the back of the room, and I gave her a look like, and I shouldn't have, but I said, you cost me. I don't even know who you are. I don't even know you. I don't even remember. I said, why couldn't she just name the guy? Just name the guy and pick him out. That's it. Just do what you have to do.
You're opening yourself up to, the Me Too come on, and I'm not saying that.
I tell you, I see. I'm 60 years old. It happened to me when I was 20 for that, and 22, and when I was 25 for the other. I'm still pissed.
We understand that, Brian, and people. I know Brian very well, but he's being very human now. He takes something to fault. Brian does not like to be accused of something he doesn't do. Now, Brian, I don't share that with you, and you know why I get accused of things I do. And
this was supposed to be like bandwidth night. Now I'm exposing all these goddamn problems I had.
I'm good at that. That's why I'm.
You got it out of me there. I'm looking at bandwidth, and all of a sudden I'm talking about the cops.
Think about that.
85.
Think about everybody's listening, and we have the wrong audience. We're speaking.
Right.
What's the saying? We're preaching to the choir, whatever. Our people are pretty good people. We got to get onto I want to get onto I want to fire you and get Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity to do a show with me. But the idea of it is that they bring their followers. But the idea of this, think about anybody. Think about the times you were accused of doing something that you didn't do. Remember, we were watching that video earlier about the black gentleman.
Right. Exactly. That's how I felt. Except that he got his arm broken.
Except I want to go one step further. The difference is, and I wish if anybody out there could do this. I don't like person of color. I mean, I don't know why. I just don't. But we don't really have a lumping for. So I'm going to say non-white. I like that better. If you're a non-white, that puts the onus on us. It's really hard to understand. Now we're full circle. Where we started. I mean, I got this phone call today that really not any of my eyes opened. And see, we could do it. We could do that's Trev there. We could do a whole show on that. Things that the police have done or authority figures have done. That we didn't deserve. Now I can also play the other side though. I've done a lot of things, not in my later years, but in my younger years. We got now.
By the way, Trev's from Canada, so I'm assuming it's the Royal Canadian Mounted Police that he's talking about.
Yeah, I like them. I still like them for the Rocky and Bullwinkle show. But
Rocky, no, something like that.
Nah, but that was very bad.
That was bad. I was like thinking of another one too. I think it was the Go-Go Gophers, something like that.
That was I remember. Yeah, yeah, we could do an oldie show too. Right. Now, what I do want to say, Brian, I need to sign off because Judy's going to come in and she's got that look. She's going to kill me.
I'd like to see that. Can we show that on a show? You and her fighting?
Okay. One time,
there was one I had somewhere. That was great.
If I could do some not shameless self promotion for us, and again, Brian, you have to. If we got anybody on, correct? That knows when we'll be on.
Right.
But it worked for us. I mean, I'm in a position, and I don't know if you are. It works for me very, very well, and I'm fine with it. Taking that kind of thing. You're watching on YouTube, but what would you call that? A storage bin, I don't know, on YouTube for old programs and things we put on, right? Book page, which some people may be looking on, so you're aware of it. And then I'm that's what I do. I'm doing, and and I a lot of they don't understand. I don't mean they don't understand. Everything different. Would you agree? My Facebook page,
right.
Some page that is on the YouTube page. Now, YouTube page very much. Our shows. I mean, but we'll do some chat. If you try to say I'm not doing being a communicator, it's like you really want to get the whole pack. blog, it wouldn't work on the Facebook page, that you wouldn't see on YouTube, et cetera, et cetera. The only thing we don't have, and I mean, I have them for myself, we didn't put anything on Twitter yet, but I'm leaving that for the liar, Secret Agent Orange. We'll leave Twitter for him.
Dave, I think I actually have. Is that my audio is picking Judy up here?
She's screaming at me right now.
Hold it. No. I think it's here.
What are you doing? You got your screen up. What is wrong
No,
with
something. Hold on. It must be.
Oh, I see.
Hold on. I think it is Judy. Hold on. I'm trying to see here.
That's the real Judy right here.
Brian.
Hi, Judy.
We're going out.
Dark gets even darker. You will be terrified.
I am. Anything Brian does terrifies.
God, what's so crazy? Get him out of here, Judy. He's gonna break the house.
Stop playing, asshole.
There you go.
Stop playing, asshole.
Oh shit! That was just a Russian movie. It was a Russian horror movie.
No. I remember that, Brian.
Yeah,
As I recall
we were
it,
trying to get you out of the house.
No. As I recall it, and Judy's here. I think she'll vouch for this. I in no way want to in any way emasculate you or question your manhood, but I do think you put your hand on my knee inappropriately, and I was trying to escape. As I recall it, that's how
It was a typical David Price reaction, like when he's angry but he has nothing to say, he just stands still for 4 seconds and he just stares at people. And he does it every time, folks. He just freezes. And I'm laughing. Can somebody get the Royal Mounted Police out here?
Yeah. Well, they're coming now. Dave is what? I know you're holding back your what? Dave is what?
Yeah,
I like. Go back. I love putting my names on. Come on.
Yeah.
Who's a comment?
David is buffering. I remember. I know. Your niece said something like, "And Judy, breathe." We couldn't get him out of the upstairs of my house, and so I named it Animal in Russian. It was a horror movie.
It was fun. I mean, it was something to do.
That should be the outro for this show. Animal.
And I will leave with this thought, guys. And anybody who was watching tonight, why you did, I don't know. And it wasn't meant that way. And we solved some problems, as I said, Brian. But you know what was kind of nice too? Sometimes, not that we're, what I'm trying to say, we're not Donald Trump egos, and we're not, we don't think we're stars. But I think sometimes it's nice for people to see you like we were tonight, just being completely goofy, serious at times, right? But completely goofy. And you see that I'm kind of the Joseph and Brian, an angry white man. He's only a day away from joining the Trumpsters. Now look at his face. I think what happened is something's going on with his face right now. And I want to do a shout out to my Vietnamese barber, Cindy, for the first time out of here. Now it's short. And Brian, I'm going out of here. You got the closing.
Well, if my bandwidth was a little bit higher, I could do some good stuff here, folks. And I was going to do this for David Price. Let me see if I can. This was in tribute to David Price. So I will do that. I think I can. This is in tribute to David Price's youth. So let's see if we can't figure this out. All right, let's do it. This is David Price's past. If I can get it right.
Perfect sleeper. Perfect sleeper by Serta.
Hi, I'm Joey Heatherton. Serta's Perfect Sleeper mattress is something great to sleep on. It gives you firmness and comfort. It's the perfect combination. You'll love it.
Now, instead of counting sheep, you can
Ciao, folks. Bye. Yeah, we're just doing bandwidth tonight. Forget about everything we said. See ya.